But first, because they're not going away soon enough, the headlines breaking in the administration's 50 running scandals. Bush. Number 3, union busting gate. While we wonder if he might really put in a car czar whose primary job is to break up the UAW, Mr. Bush has already tried to bust up unions at the ATF, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. He issued a presidential order stripping the rights of 1,500 employees there to be in a union or have any kind of collective bargaining. His argument, they do national security work, therefore a union could get in the way. This might be in the dictionary under the definition of sophistry. It might also be in the dictionary under the definition of union busting. The Bush administration had just signed a new collective bargaining agreement with those 1,500 ATF employees last April, and at no point did anybody in the government say, your union is threatening national security, or you have no right to this contract we all just sat here and bargained over and we just signed for some inexplicable reason. Number 2, Preston Gate. That is, again, the section of Dallas to which Mr. Bush and the missus will mercifully retire next month. Todd Gilman of the Dallas Morning News asked Mr. Bush the softest of softball questions about his impending new home and got a genuinely strange answer even from this guy. Gilman, Mr. President, you excited about your new house in Dallas? Bush, Todd, why do you care? You live in Washington, D.C. Well, evidently Gilman cared in a featurey, do you like the neighborhood, can you get to the ballpark easily kind of way. Although the rest of us sure want to know about the covenant created when that exclusive neighborhood was first built, in which owners swore not to sell their homes to black people. And number 1, Condi-Gate. Well, it was nice while it lasted. Secretary of State had just begun to rehabilitate herself ever so slightly, complimenting the president-elect, the people who voted him in, showing a little pride as an African-American, as an American. Then came her interview with NPR, in which the questioner mentioned Guantanamo wasn't sort of the only issue that tarnished the U.S. image. There's also the treatment of terror suspects, waterboarding, other methods of torture, or... That's when Dr. Rice interrupted. I'm going to have to object, she said, because the United States has always kept to its international obligations, which includes international obligations on the Convention on Torture. The United States, the president, was determined after September 11th to do everything that was legal and within those obligations, international and domestic laws, to make sure that we prevented a follow-on attack. Well, you can object all you want, and you and the boss can have been determined all you want. But in terms of keeping this country's international obligations on the Convention on Torture and doing everything that was legal and within those laws, you failed. You utterly, absolutely, no question about it, failed. Didn't come close. Madam Secretary, you, the president, and the rest of the cabal will go down in the history books as a bunch of extra-constitutional, treaty-busting rodeo clowns.